Welcome to 2 Cents Short of a Dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your host. That's Motiz, and I'm Rue. Today, I want to talk about the aftermath of the Anthony Joshua situation going against Daniel Dubois. He gets stopped in the 5th round after being dropped in the 1st round. I think dropped a total of 3 or 4 times in the entire fight. It was a quick night, and the first time I seen him go down, I kind of just felt like this was going to happen. To me, it was kind of reminiscent of the Andy Ruiz, only in the sense of I feel like you've seen the confidence literally leave AJ once he got knocked down. To me, just looking at him, it looks like he was having flashbacks in there. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like his hands were so low. Not that he's ever been the best tactician, but it just feels like everything that he's supposed to know as a pro just felt like it was going out the window, in my personal opinion. So when you witnessed the knockout, just what was your initial thoughts, expressions to what happened to Anthony Joshua?
Oh man. I mean, I was surprised because I thought Anthony Joshua would get the job done, if I'm being not completely honest. And not saying Dubois is like a garbage fighter, not at all. He's a great fighter. I just don't think he's on that elite level at all. I think Dubois I feel like Dubois' style, what carries him a lot of the time is his kind of awkwardness, but he has punching power. That's the thing about him, right? Everyone's punching at the heavyweight division, but the way he just got off on Joshua, like with such aggression, like you could tell off rip, he was like, I'm going after him. And just landing that overhand, it kind of like capitalized off of Anthony Joshua's keeping his hands down. And Joshua never really recovered. So I was kind of surprised initially, but as the fight kind of went on, I kind of knew like, yeah, it was over. And when Joshua hurt Dubois, right, he kind of just rushed in and then he gets clipped and then the fight is over. So for me, Dubois is not the best, or he's not an elite fighter. So for Anthony Joshua to lose like that to Dubois was really disappointing, to be honest. It started making me think maybe I kind of put Anthony Joshua on a plateau that he probably shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? Maybe, or maybe I'm underestimating Dubois, but just looking at Dubois and just stylistically what type of fighter he is, he's not that great of a fighter to me. So for Anthony Joshua to lose like that was very disappointing.
Yeah. So I'll say this. Dubois, I think, is a very good fighter. Like you said, there's a bit of awkwardness. Everyone at heavyweight is cracking, right? So he's cracking,
Right.
but there's like a fluidity to his movement that I think was killing Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua was so stiff, right? There was a fluidity to Dubois, the way he was just kind of like in, out, you know what I'm saying? Just moving. But he's on a great run, man. I mean, you think about it, he lost the fight to Usyk, right? A lot of people argue that it could have been a KO because some people are saying it was not a low blow. They're saying Usyk just couldn't recover. Nevertheless, he loses that fight, but I think had a respectable showing, right? Then he goes on to, I think he stopped Jarrell Miller. Then he beats Philip Hergovich. And then now what he did to Anthony Joshua. I mean, the only other person kind of on a run like this that isn't considered like a superstar is probably Joseph Parker, right? Joseph Parker's been on a pretty good run as well. So, man, I actually think Dubois is very good. And there was a time where, as he was on the rise, like there was some hype behind his name. People thought he was like the next guy up, especially out of the UK. And then he got stopped by Joe Joyce, if I'm not mistaken. And that kind of derailed the hype train. So he's kind of just getting back on track. But man, I think he's good. But I'll also say this. I think this fight was more about Joshua's inability than Dubois' abilities. You know what I'm saying? Even though I think Dubois is very good. Like the entire fight, I was screaming. I'm like, Joshua, pick your hands up. They're too low. Pick your hands up. You know what I mean? And then like we said, he's always been a stiff fighter, right? But like, let's go to the moment you mentioned when he hurt him. But he hurt him, and then he came after him. Right hand, right hand, right hand. He never mixed up the attack. Maybe something to the body to open him up, because he probably could have knocked the boy out right there. You know what I'm saying? If he'd have just mixed up the attack, give him a different look. But it was just so predictable.
So predictable. It made him look amateur like, and and I felt like, I'm gonna be honest, Dubois he wanted it more. Like you could tell, like he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna go for the gusto in this fight." You could just tell the way he was just throwing that overhand with such vicious intent. You could tell he wasn't playing with Joshua. He wasn't
Yeah,
playing with Joshua at all. And I think that really won him the fight. It wasn't even because he's not more skilled than Joshua. It's just he just went for the gusto and capitalized off of, as you mentioned, Joshua's inability to keep his hands up, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this, right? I know there's a rematch in place, or at least I've heard there's a rematch in place, right? But let's say the rematch to the side, or let's say the rematch goes the same way. Who would you actually like to see Daniel Dubois in there with next? I know people are talking about the Usyk Fury winner, but I suspect if Alexander Usyk wins that fight, he's gonna retire. So, of other people out there, who would you actually like to see Daniel Dubois fight next after that performance?
I would say Big Bang Zhang. I would like to see him in a
Mm,
Zhang, to be
yeah,
quite honest with you. I wouldn't want to say Tyson Fury because it looked like Tyson Fury's kind of on that edge of his end of his career.
yeah.
So was Usyk, but I would say
Big
Zhang.
Bang,
Zhang.
Big Bang Zhang did lose to the guy I mentioned who's on another great run, which is Joseph Parker. But
Mhm.
so I think Joseph Parker would be a good fight. But the fight I actually want to see, Dubois versus Martin Bakoli. I think Bakoli deserves
Oh,
a shot here.
okay.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
a good one. I think
And
Bakoli stops Dubois. I ain't gonna lie.
I think Bakoli
The
deserves.
Bakoli, that's a good one. I'm not gonna lie. That's a good
Yeah,
one. That's definitely a good one. Bakoli, I
I,
think he stops a lot of fighters, bro.
yeah,
I
I
think he
think he
stops a
deserves
lot
a
of
shot
fights.
here. And then assuming, all right, let's not assume that Usyk wins and Usyk retires, or you know what I'm saying, or Fury wins. And if Fury wins, it just makes it tricky, right? It might be a trilogy, but let's say the belt stays with one of those guys. I think Dubois and Bakoli
Mhm.
deserve to almost like a title eliminator, right? Like the winner
Right.
gets a shot at the title. I would like that. I think it's well earned. Breaks my heart for Joseph Parker because, like I said, Joseph Parker's been doing this thing. So but that Bacoli and Dubois fight, I think that could be fireworks, bro. I think that's a good fight.
I'm not gonna lie. You might be on to something with that one. I'm not gonna lie. You might be on to something with that one. That was a good one.
Yeah,
That's a sleep one because I do think he's deserving of it. I think he's one of those very dangerous fighters, especially how big he is, his
yeah.
arm length, and then his
Mm-hmm.
punching power. He's very dangerous, especially from what I've seen. Where he did, yeah, of course, Baby the second one isn't really, I wouldn't say on the same stature as Dubois. I think Dubois is better, but I think it will make it for easy fight, especially how you wipe the floor with Baby Miller. So,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
Big Baby. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Make sure you guys jump in the comment section. Tell us what you thought about the Joshua Dubois fight. Who would you like to see Daniel Dubois fight next? So jump in the comment section. We'll make sure we reply to some of those. Whoever got the best one, we'll reply to that one and see. Hopefully, it's something out there that we didn't think of.